Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men for Laredo. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
We're back at you in Gloves Off, and today we have a great guest, which is George Beckelhymer, who's running for City Council District 5. Good morning, Mr. Beckelhymer. How are we doing today?
Good morning, Paul. I'm doing much better. Thank you for asking.
And we know we got hit by the COVID, and I want to wish you Godspeed for good health and recovery, and hopefully all your aspirations in the near future become fruitful.
Thank you, Paul. I appreciate those kind words.
I ask, I guess, for everybody out there that's watching to remember 9/11. You know, we had two great attacks towards a great nation, and we can never forget, and we just need to ask for all our first responders to be safe out there when they're working, and for all those families that lost loved ones, both in the 9/11 New York attack and also in Benghazi. May God give you all peace. But on that note, on a more important note, we have elections coming up in November, and you signed that name that you're going to be a candidate. Why'd you do that?
Well, so when I came back to Laredo in 1995, after being gone for about 10 years, opened our first store, made the decision that Laredo would be my home again for the rest of my life, because I left in 1985. I wasn't content to just live here and of course the goal to be successful, but I wanted to participate in our community. And as a result, what I did in 1996, we opened in December 95. So the very next year, there were citywide elections. And I called all the elected officials for the city and some of the county ones too, and offered my services. I said, I'm back in Laredo. I want to get involved with the community. I'm available to serve. Well, early 97, Councilman Agdana took me up on that and appointed me to what was called at the time the Hazardous Citizens Advisory Committee, I think is what it was called. And a couple of years later, that was changed to the Citizens Environmental Advisory Committee, and it's still that today. And that's how I began my service, but it was coming back to Laredo, the community. I launched that in 97. That was a 7-year stint, 97 to 04. My children, I made the commitment that they would be in public schools, and my oldest at 4 years of age, I decided she'd be entering the public school system. I decided I wanted to have a hand in that. And so in 02, I ran for the school board and won that, albeit with only 20 votes, but I won. And I ended up serving 3 consecutive terms, a 3-year term, a 3.5-year term, which is a funny story I'll tell you about someday, and then a 4-year term. And those 2 services combined were very rewarding, very challenging, a lot of frustrations, some very, very difficult times with fellow trustees. But in all, I was successful in doing things that not only help my own children, but to help all children district-wide, because that was my position. I run because of my children, but whatever conclusion I arrive at, that's a best practice. I'd speak about it with central office administration. If there's buy-in, we'd go district-wide. So it was never only for a selfish reason, but selfish reasons tend to drive you to do certain things. But if you only do it for your children, then that's truly selfish. And what we did is we went district-wide. We were very successful at it. If I can just mention this real quick, Paul, we rolled out pre-K3 district-wide, which is something that I personally championed. We established a 22 to 1 cap on pre-K3, pre-K4, because the state does not legislate or mandate teacher-student ratios. That's what I meant. 22-to-1 teacher-student ratio. We rolled out, once again, by my agenda items, full-time teacher aides for pre-K3, pre-K4, not the platoon system, full-time dedicated to that one classroom. I recovered successfully recess at all the elementary school grades, district-wide. And let me tell you, that was a lot of pushback about that, but we were successful. And another big one was the PE. PE had been taken over by principals to use for studying. They'd use it for any kind of study. The point is that they'd use it for fundraising. You go to the gym. I said, wait a minute, PE is for exercise. So we recovered that. And of course, very famously, I spearheaded the bringing of early college high school and was the only champion of flu shots district-wide, which ended up becoming recognized by the National Nursing Journal. It was the lead article, I don't remember the year, 2013, 2014. Hope they're still doing it through that vigilance. I went off a little topic there, but the point is that I had good success in affecting real change, not just superficial change, but real fundamental change. And that was very, very rewarding. You know, you felt your chest expand, you felt self-esteem, you felt you did things that were good, not for you, but for others. And that was very rewarding, Paul.
Absolutely.
So my intention was always to continue in public service, but my home burned down in 2012, and we had to move to the north. And then personal situations didn't allow me, but it does now. And I'm excited to be running for city council.
Absolutely. And what do you see the need in Laredo right now? What do you think the direction Laredo's going, what we need to do as a city here in Laredo? What needs to be done?
Well, I think as most everybody knows, we're absolutely, totally in the catbird seat with regards to our trade position with Mexico. And so what we really need to do, and not that we're not doing it, by the way, because I don't know absolutely everything about this, but you know, the city, the county, Texas Department of Transportation, you know, they're working together successfully, just maybe not fast enough or efficient enough. Just put those aside, fast enough, efficient enough, but they are working successfully in assisting this growth. And that just has to be one of our, if not the top priority, is to secure our place as #1 port in the country. I think we still lead Los Angeles as #1 in any type of port, but we're #1 inland port. Everybody knows that, but I think we're #1 in any type of port, which is enormous. We need to secure that position and not give it to the valley. And that's why we need to move a little more quickly and a little more efficient. Don't give that up.
Absolutely. What, you know, what are the new, if you sat in several committees and so on and so forth, what are new plans that Laredo has that you say, you know what, we need to do this for Laredo's benefit?
Well, I'm also a planning and zoning commissioner, as well as a regional mobility authority director. And what I've seen as the planning and zoning commissioner is in South Laredo, we have not hundreds and not 1,000, we have thousands of acres that have been converted from agriculture to some type of residential. That's huge. I mean, it's enough acreage that you're looking at, and this is just a shooting from the hip estimate, but you're looking at tens of thousands of people, maybe 20,000, 20, 25, 30,000. I don't have a formula to divide that up, you know, acres per household, but South Laredo is booming in residential. North Laredo in 1472, and if any of your viewers go to weblaredorma.org, they'll be able to look at the North Laredo Transportation Study and see what their predictions are about that growth and potential ways to address it. So it's the South Laredo residential growth and that North Laredo 1472 I-35 Camino Colombia World Trade Bridge. That triangle is is, that's another, I don't know how many thousands of acres. I know the study from the Regional Mobility Authority, but on planning and zoning, we're getting the agriculture straight to M1 zone change requests, and they're all passing. But I'm going to say it again, not 1,000 acres, thousands of acres. Huge taxable property relevance to the city, of course. So those are the two areas that are exploding that require vigilance on our part to make sure it's done efficiently, safely, and expeditiously.
Absolutely. Another thing that, you know, because McAllen's maybe right just a bit ahead of us when this COVID started, okay? We kind of tend to forget our small businesses. And our small businesses, as you know, is the backbone of our community. How are you as a councilman, how would you help out those small businesses that come in there? Or what do you think about them?
Well, aside from advocating for them or on behalf of them to the federal government to maybe do the Paycheck Protection Plan again, or any other type of assistance, in particular, we're legislating them that they need to be closed. Well, that's a death sentence. If you read any of the financial websites even on a once a week basis, you're going to hear about bankruptcy, liquidation, closing. You know, Lord and Taylor, whatever, the oldest retailer in the United States is closing for good. I mean, it's real sad times. Fuddruckers is doing a liquidation. Can't think of the other restaurant, but the article came out combined. Oh, Luby's. How about that? Luby's is shutting down. How sad is that? Anyway, the point being is, with regards to the government outside Laredo, what the city council should be doing, and they may be doing it. They may be doing it very well. I just don't know. Is to continue and unrelentingly advocate for business assistance for the small business owners so they don't go bankrupt and never open again. Having said that, I believe the city, at this point, we're pretty well educated about COVID. Yes, there's a bunch of mysteries about the strains. There's over 30 different strains, but how you can catch it. And so instead of hard legislation that closes the local businesses, I would work with the business community and ask them first, well, what do you all propose? And don't say no regulation at all. Come up with something that you can, you know, that where it shows that you're being a community member and that you're being thoughtful to the risk of contracting COVID. And I'd like to hear what they have to say about that, because they may already have a solution. If we operate up here legislating in isolation because we think we know better, without discussing it with the stakeholders over there, then you run the risk of doing something that is counterproductive. So having said all that, Paul, the number one thing is common sense and personal responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yes, you need to show it. I need to show it. We all need to show personal responsibility that we don't not only want to get sick, but we don't want to get anybody sick. I mean, that's for sure. And so.
Absolutely. And we said, you know, I see Laredo complying, being that have that community care that you see people wearing their masks. You see people trying to social distance in comparison to other places. Also, we have strict curfew here, and we also have the mandates over here. But if you go to San Antonio, some of them, they don't have it. So what's going on? You know, so are we overreaching the power, or we citizens, we need to say, you know what, we understand what's going on, and every business is going to have a plan to take, like, sanitize when somebody comes in, make sure they have a mask. And if they don't have a mask, have some masks ready for them to use, and so on and so forth. And I think stuff like that needs to be happening now instead of imposing.
Well, absolutely. And let me make a couple of strong points. Might be more than two. It's, first of all, on April 2nd, I rolled out company-wide for my company, which is 11 stores and over 60 employees. I can't remember if it's 62 or 65. hygiene protocols. And I told everybody, this is not optional. This is our way of life until further notice. And that's, you have to wear your mask. Okay. You can't have two people sit together when you eat. You can take off your mask in the bathroom. You can take off your mask when you're in the warehouse by yourself, if you're going to do. You have to enforce the mask rule to everybody entering the store. As anybody enters the store, you need to greet them with a dollop of hand sanitizer. And I'll tell them, I'll be cautious, don't waste it, but put enough that they can rub their hands. Make sure, and as I said, mask on, sanitize their hands. And that way, whatever they touch, they're not bringing anything in.
Absolutely.
Disinfect regularly. And if you follow these protocols, you will not get sick. And so I'm very proud to say that we have not had a single employee-to-employee transmission, or customer to employee. Again, we're open at 8:30 in the morning and we closed at 8 p.m. We were closing at 9, but I moved it up to 8 because when the mask ordinance went out, I didn't want customers coming in while it was still dark outside and they were wearing masks, safety issue. So that's all I've done is trim 1 hour off closing. And that has been 100% successful. I want to say that again, 100% successful. Why am I so special? Well, no, I was just vigilant. So the different businesses that want to open, we should support them to reopen as long as their number of people in there and they're distancing, are they there together, and they're doing their personal responsibility of following hygiene protocols and the establishment, Paul. This is important, and this is uncomfortable for some, but somebody
Absolutely.
within that establishment has to enforce the rule. And that's a rule. It's their rule. It's the store rule. That restaurant, that bar, that retail, whatever the retail establishment is, they have the 10 or 15 or the 25% or the 50% capacity rule in place. They just need to follow it. And if they follow it, that's right, the likelihood of an illness shrinks very, very, very low. And that's what I'd like to see. I don't blame City Council for jumping out hard and fast with certain rules. Everybody was scared. Nobody really knew what was going to happen.
Absolutely. It hit us, and nobody knew what was going on. We saw the videos coming out of mainland China. People were just dropping. We didn't know exactly what was going on. So everybody was afraid. But then all of a sudden realized, wait a minute, we can contain this. We can live past this. Let's go back and let's stop living in fear and live in caution. So let's go for it, and I think right now it's the time, and we can't, like I said, overreach power anymore. We have to step back and say, you know what, let's start moving forward before we lose it.
Absolutely. And I think we can do it. I really do. If the establishment is serious about reopening and reopening successfully, it can't just be successfully as in how much revenue dollars I get. And I'm not saying that there should be any kind of new expenses for them. I'm just saying it's revenues coming in, great, but somebody on this side of the counter, the employee side, needs to make sure that whoever's coming in is following the hygiene protocols just as their employees are. I want to say again, Paul, I haven't had a single customer to employee.
Absolutely. Those are some great words of counsel right there, especially for businesses there, because you want your business to survive. You have to adapt to how things are going. 15 years ago, everybody had a cell phone. 20 years ago, not everybody had a cell phone. Now everybody has a cell phone. Businesses and transactions, and we're multitasking off their phone. We grew up, we didn't have a computer. The computers that now was Atari, was digital, going here. It was not what we have now.
Oh, no. Yes.
So we're adapting. So things can change in a different norm.
That's correct. And
so
successfully.
Here's one, Mr. Beckelhymer. If somebody wants to get involved with you, touch based on your campaign, call you, how can they do that?
Well, our campaign website is georgebeckelhymer.com. So if anybody's watching, they can get the spelling of my last name right here behind me, Beckelhymer. And it's just traditional georgebeckelhymer.com. If they email us there, one of us in the campaign, of the campaign team will check that. And if it's a priority of the individual, just indicate that it's a priority, or is it get back to me when you have a moment. We will prioritize it ourselves, but we won't go 3 days, probably not even 2 before we respond. I also have our campaign headquarters phone number, which is 956-508-3595. Again, that goes to the campaign. It doesn't go to me directly, and it's a Google number so that they can leave a clear message, who they are, the date, the time, who they are, and their return call phone number, and please include a subject so we know what the callback's for. Is it issue related? Is it to make a donation? Hopefully. Is it because they want a sign in their yard, which we'd love to hear from them for that too. But those are the 2 ways, georgebeckelhymer.com and the phone number.
Absolutely. And wish you well. And next week we'll have our date, so hopefully we'll see you back in there. And what we're seeing right now is a lot of people that love Laredo standing up and saying, you know what, enough's enough, and let's making this go forward. And thank you once more for signing your name at dotted line.
Thank you, Paul. And so everybody knows I'm ready to serve. Truly. Have a good day.
And then next time.
Okay, God bless.
For 30 years, Buitrón Academy has produced great fighters, peace officers, firemen, and many great citizens of Laredo. We teach various martial arts, savate, kempo, capoeira, each in their own traditions, trajectory, history, and pedagogy. Buitrón Academy is the first school of savate in the United States, the first capoeira movement in Texas, the first kempo school in Laredo. What will one expect to see at Buitrón Academy? Respect, fellowship, coordination, skill, and self-defense. Buitrón Academy is located at 220 West Hillside Road.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
Hello, how are you? My name is Celestino Marina. I'm running for City Council, District 5, and I would like your support. Together, we will win. Thank you.
Laredo College needs a leader, an educator with a vision to move forward for a positive change. This is why, as your candidate, I want accessible education, and most importantly, I want to listen to your concerns as a stakeholder, students, faculty, staff, and taxpayers. It's time for education over politics.
Vote Justin Huntsnusher Casiano for Laredo College Board, place 7.
Hi Laredo, this is Carlos Perez. I'm running for Laredo College Board of Trustees Place 8. You can follow us on social media on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at CG Perez for LC. I look forward to gaining your support this campaign season and earning your vote November 30. Thank you.